Are we on? We're on. Okay. So, we're going to take a look at this Cooey 710 replacement stock. Now, this stock is for a Winchester Model 70, or Winchester Ranger. So we'll take a look how it hung up. There's no recoil lug on this rifle. I put it in this plastic stock and I made a few shots. I think I shot a dozen. And there was a little crack. You can't see that. There was a little crack on the inside around this bolt. So I did something to mitigate that. We'll take a look at it and I'll tell you about my moose hunt that I just got back from. So I got a tag for Cape Breton Highlands. Oh, actually, it was for Zone 1, which incorporates some of the highlands and some of the lowlands. So I got there, and it actually, well, I said Zone 1, but that's not entirely true. It's 1 and 5, and I had a great time. It was a real good hunt. But a few things went bad. My rifle's resting up a bit, but I kind of expected that. The bluing's not great on it. And I don't know if you can see it. There's water inside this trigger group. Oh, that's epoxy, never mind. But there was water in there. I can see a bit of water droplets down in there. So that little bit of epoxy, I knew that was there. What I did, I epoxied 2 blocks in here and another one back here. And what they do, one catches the trigger guard, because the trigger guard for this rifle, for the Cooey, is too small for the Winchester stock. If I had a Winchester Ranger trigger guard, this would be pretty much a flawless changeover. I said in the other videos, the only thing I really had to do was mill a little notch here, a little notch here inside, and that is for the safety. Other than that, it was fine. But the zone I was hunting in, Zone 1, it's all private land. You pretty much need a guide to do any hunting there. And I did it all on foot. So we drive into the area and then do all the hunting on foot. And I did a little bit in Zone 5, same thing. We take a bike with tracks on it up into the mountains, and we drive around till we find a set of tracks, and then we track them on foot. So where I actually got the moose was in Zone 1. So it was up on top of the mountain, sort of, kind of towards the top, in Zone 1. So we drove up with the bike, and we found a set of tracks, and I started following them. Everything was going fine, and all of a sudden, there's Mr. Moose. Well, actually Mrs. Moose, because it was a cow and calf. So, oh my God, this is great. Great big cow. This is what I want. You know, I want to come up here for the hunt, but I want to take some good meat home with me. And she's, I don't know, 80 yards maybe, wide open, just looking around, and I put her in the scope, and no way will the gun fire. And I pulled on the trigger 4 or 5 times, and it just walked up over top of the ridge. It was only a few feet from the ridge anyway, and down over the other side where we couldn't follow. And I said, that's it. I missed my chance, you know. I felt like an idiot. At first I thought I left the safety on, and oh, I felt almost sick to my stomach. And as we're trucking around to the other side of the fucking valley there, try and cut these moose off, looking at the gun, and Jesus, you know, the safety was off. So I started playing with it, and I took the round out of the chamber and I pushed the other ones down, you know. So I'm, you know, I cycle the action, and I'm pushing the rounds down and closing it on an empty chamber, and the safety's back, it's all the way off, and nothing. I'm squeezing, nothing. It's all the way forward, sorry. Yeah, it was all the way forward, and I'm squeezing, it's nothing. It's working fine now, but it will not go off. And I was thinking, well, it's got to be frozen, because we took a bike up there, and what happened was snow got in here, and the rifle was inside just an hour before, and it was still kind of warm, and it melted, and it froze the trigger guard up. So I'm holding the rifle like this, we're walking and blowing on the action as fiercely as much as I can, and I'm cycling it, and still won't go off, and the guy goes, there's the moose. So fuck, so I'm loading her back up and put 4 rounds in it, and the safety's off, and there she is. She's on the other side of a little bit of brush, but there's a hole, and I got it up there, and I'm squeezing as hard as I can squeeze, and she's starting to walk away, and I start, I'm holding it with my front hand and my back hand going, argh! And I shot her right in the ass cheek. But the gun went off, and then, as soon as it went off, immediately it was, and the second shot went right where I was aiming. It was a quartering away shot, went through a rib, through the heart, and out between 2 ribs, and all the way through the front shoulder, and stopped at the hide. And she was on the ground before I got another round in the chamber, and we walked up to it, and I finished it off. And then the excitement started hitting, because the whole time that we're out tracking these things, with me, I start getting excited when I can see them, but the whole time from when I seen it the first time to where I got to take the shot, I'm screwing around with the rifle, and I'm trying to see what's wrong, and I'm trying to unthaw it, and I didn't really have time to think about too much. It was just, once it finally went off, she was kind of facing this way, and she seen me, and she turned around, and as she was turning, I clipped her right in the ass cheek, and she jumped a little bit and squatted and took 1 bound, and when she was kind of quartering away, I got my second round in, kind of threw on an angle like this, and she fell right there. But you can see the rifle is rusted up a bit. I got to take this off. When I had the scope mounted years ago, actually I think the rifle was drilled and tapped when I got it. Anyway, the mounts are crooked, so I'm going to take it down to the gunsmith, my buddy there, and get him to fill the holes and straighten it out. Or I might do it myself, I'm not sure. He owes me a favor, so I'll get him to do it. And then I'm going to re-blue it. But I fired the 3 shots, clipped her in the ass on the first one. It actually clipped her in the ass cheek, went all the way through her hindquarters, but never damaged too much meat. No bloodshot or anything. And it went in, like around her udder, and kind of followed around the skin. It did poke 1 little hole in the stomach, but we got it right there. It wasn't an issue. And I got that bullet back. I'm not 100% sure which one is which, but I think, yeah, this one, the one that's least damaged, this one here, was the one that clipped her in the butt. And this is the one that went through a rib, through the heart, all the way through the front shoulder and stopped at the hide. So I got both of them back. I didn't look for the one that I put in her head to finish her off, because she was still breathing when I got to her. But anyway, these bullets, it's a discontinued round. I did take some reloads with me. I took some ballistic silver tip, but what I used, I had 14 rounds of Winchester Super X silver tip. Now this isn't, well, there's lead in there, but what you see isn't lead. What you see here is actually aluminum over top of lid. It's a little thicker than tinfoil, not really that thick. It was as thick as pie plate, I guess, something like that. And you know, that round, it went through a rib, through the heart, all the way through the front shoulder, and stopped at the hide. And one of the things the guy told me up there is they don't really like 308s. They say they like 30-06 or bigger because they've lost a lot of moose. Well, remember, the people, you know, that's hunting there aren't the guides, they're other people, and you don't know how well they can shoot. But they said they've lost a lot of moose to 308s and headshots, so they don't like either one. But he said, I won't hold that against you. The guide I used was Hector Hines, and I can't say enough good things about him. A lot of the fees that I paid, like all the lodging, stuff like that, depending on where you stay, a lot of that goes right back into the community. You know, he rents rooms out, like spare rooms people have up there. And, you know, some of those people, they don't make a lot of money, and when someone's coming up moose hunting and Hector can put someone in their home or, you know, in their cottage or whatever, it's a big help for them. And everyone there was, you know, the best kind. I couldn't ask for anything any better. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. Kind of wanted to do an update on the replacement 710 stock. I'm going to try and find a Winchester Ranger trigger guard. And but until then, I just filled it with epoxy. And, you know, it worked. Okay. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked my little funny story. It's probably the worst shot and the best shot I've ever made. Maybe tied with my funny rabbit story. I might as well tell you that while I'm here telling stories. I went hunting with my father-in-law one day. We were out rabbit hunting, and this rabbit came out, and I had a 12-gauge pump, and the friggin' rabbit wasn't very far away. And I pulled on the rabbit, and, you know, as I'm coming across, there was a tree right in front of me. And when I pulled the trigger, it was lined right up with the little tree, but that big around. And I cut the tree right off, and it stopped pretty well all the pellets. But the rabbit stopped, and it looked at me. And my father looked at me and goes, "Did you get it?" Or, because we both seen the tree fall over. I was like, and then a rabbit took off, and I said, "Nope," and then I shot it. But it was a pretty funny moment. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and talk to you later. See you next time.